season ends today. Is Jokic the MVP?
I say so, yeah. I love Steph. I think, he's one of the most influential players ever, not just of his generation. What he's doing this year is insane, and he has an MVP caliber resume this season. But what Jokic is doing is even more. It's like this guy's been the best, second best, at worst, third best player from the beginning of the season till now. Like, there has not been a drop off. And I know you can point to the Nuggets record. I think they're the 4 seed or the 5 seed right now. Now they don't have Murray either, so they're probably not going to move up from that. And it's very rare that a guy wins MVP outside of the top 3 seeds. But I just think when you look at his body of work as a whole, and even where the Nuggets are, despite that, I could not give it to anyone else.
Yeah, it seems like the options right now, aside from Jokic, are Embiid, maybe. Steph has been getting a lot of buzz. Another guy whom Chris Paul, like he's not getting a ton of hype right now, but kind of the antithesis to the stats that Jokic and Steph are putting up. Like, he's a game back of the 1 seed in the entire league. He's putting up like a 16, 9 assists and 5 boards or something like that. But like, if they do end up with that 1 seed, do you think he ends up like top 3 in voting, maybe even like top 2?
I mean, I think he's definitely going to get some like down ballot votes, and he'll be on the ballot by the end. I don't know if he'll end up 2 or 3, because as you mentioned, even with Jokic, like Embiid and Steph, I think it'll be tough to crack the top 3 if you're not one of those guys. But I mean, I can totally understand why people would give votes to Chris Paul. His ability to turn teams around and turn franchises around is insane. I mean, I've been saying it all year now. It looks like it will, I've been saying all year they're on pace to do it. I'm pretty sure they will do it now. But if the Suns win 60% of their games this season, which they're well on pace to do, this will be the 10th straight year that a Chris Paul team has won at least 60% of its games. 10th straight year, which is insane when you consider, like, okay, he's done it with 4 different franchises in those 10 years. He did it with New Orleans back in the day too, by the way, but then there was a bit of an interruption. But, he did it with the Clippers. Then he ends up in Houston, and they have their best regular season ever and come within a Chris Paul hamstring of probably winning the championship that year. And then he goes to OKC, which was a team that everyone thought was tanking last year, and they end up winning 60% of their games. Then goes to Phoenix, where they haven't made the playoffs in a decade, and they're going to win 60+% of their games. So his ability to impact winning, and not just in like I'll keep this mediocre team around 500. Like, his ability to actually turn mediocre teams into at worst fringe contenders is just unbelievable. And I know you had mentioned our YouTube channel as well, so I will shout out S, who does some of our YouTube content as well as Sparaheni did a video on Chris Paul's MVP candidacy last week, I believe.
I think he finished second in MVP voting in his second year in the league or something like that.
Second or third year. It was 2007, 2008, which I still Kobe won it that year. Yeah, it was kind of like almost like a career achievement award, because he hadn't won one yet, and everyone was like, and the Lakers ended up with the best record in the West that year. That was the year they traded for Pau Gasol. Like, Kobe had a great year that year, no doubt. But if you just look at who was the most valuable to their team that season, I think it was Chris Paul. If you look at that Hornets team and look at the roster they had, no disrespect to Tyson Chandler or David West, but that team had no business winning 58 games or whatever it was they won. And it was because of Chris Paul.
Yeah, and it's crazy how he's in I don't even know what year it is, but he's 36, whatever. And like, you go to his basketball reference, sort the stats by like whatever. He's near the bottom of his own personal rankings this year and almost everything, but it's one of his most impactful, like, related to winning seasons he's ever had.
Think about how nuts it is that, we're sitting here talking. I'm mentioning that I think he was the deserved MVP in 2008, and we're sitting here 13 years later and talking about whether he's like top 3, top 5 in MVP voting.
Yeah. It's insane. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here so you never miss the best clips from Stretch the Floor. Hit the links in the description below to find us on all podcast platforms, and follow us on Instagram.